Well, what's up guys? Welcome back to Project Time Garage. Today we're going to get back to work on this little Shelby. We're going to put a new boost gauge in it, and we're also going to put a AFR gauge, an air fuel ratio gauge, along with a wideband O2 sensor in it. And the reason for this is because I'm not really sure what the car's doing under boost, and I don't want to blow something up or melt some pistons. I'm scared that it's going really lean maybe, and you know, all that's gonna be a problem. I'm sort of setting the groundwork here to make sure the car is healthy so that maybe in a future episode we can come out with a Mopar Performance Stage 2 ECM or ECU, or what do they call that thing? ECM? ECU. Computer? It's computer. MPU? Calculator. Let's call it an ECU. And that ECU will allow this thing to boost a little higher than factory. So we'll make sure that we're completely healthy before we go stuffing more boost down it. So that's what we're gonna do in this episode. Now, I'm not just gonna come right out and say that subscribing to my channel will reduce plaque buildup, but it might. What do you got to lose? There's a subscription button right down there in the corner. Looks like my logo. Doesn't cost you anything, free forever, helps my channel out hugely. Put out a video once a week. Click the reminder bell down there to get notified when that happens. So you definitely want to subscribe. Uncle Mark's DIY Automotive Fix-It channel. Gonna put a link down there in the description below this video. Go check out his channel. Pretty cool stuff. He's been around a lot longer than me. Got quite a few more subscribers. Doing a good job over there. Make sure you check him out. Well, since this project's not gonna do it itself, I guess we better get to it. Here's what we're working with. I got this this gauge pod from Forward Performance. I'll leave a link down in the video description to the company that I got this from. No affiliation. I bought this. I paid for it. It was pretty cheap. They've got other stuff for the L body cars in case you care. Also bought the clamp-on style O2 bung, because I don't want to be under there trying to drop the exhaust because I'm lazy. Got some sim color coat. This is warm gray. It's supposed to be a pretty good match. We'll find out. If it's not a good match, then we'll do something else. The boost gauge, I got that a long time ago for another project and ended up never using it. It's a 3304 Autometer, 30-pound boost. I'm being really optimistic there. And then the AFR gauge. So this is a wideband, so should tell me exactly what's going on under there. Big thing is I just don't want to go lean under boost and tear something up. That's the major part. And hopefully that gauge will stop me from making that mistake. So, well, I guess first things first, let's get the gauge pod outside where it's like miserably cold, and let's get a coat of paint on there. And as soon as we get a coat of paint in, I'll bring it back up here inside by the stove and warm it up, so maybe it will cure faster. And while that's drying and tacking up, we'll go ahead and jump under the car and see about getting that that O2 installed in the downpipe. So let's go paint. All right, let's see if we can. It's way too cold to be painting outside today. We're gonna do it anyway. We'll just dust it first. Oh, this is Sim Color Coat, warm gray, if I haven't already said that before. That's what it is. We'll see how well this matches. I'm not expecting miracles because the interior on the car has undergone a lot of sun duty. So it may be somewhat close, but I doubt we're going to be right on the money. I think I'm going to call that good enough right there. Get it inside where it's warm. Well, according to the instructions, which we seldom ever read, the the O2 sensor needs to be at least 18 inches below the turbo. And we need to be up at around a 10-degree angle and inclined upward on the O2 sensor itself. So what we'll do is get under there, we'll put this clamp somewhere where we can actually get a right angle drill in there. We'll use this right angle drill, run a pilot hole, and then we'll come back with a stepper bit and step it out to the right size. But I think when we go under there, we should take our oxygen sensor with us. Yes, I've already opened the box once and put it back together right after I got it. I think we should take the O2 sensor under there and just make sure that we have good clearances and all. Ooh, pretty. And that everything is going to have clearance. But it looks like clearance probably isn't going to be an issue because this is that's not very tall. So we'll take that under there with us. And this thing came with a weld-on style bung, but laziness dictates that we use the other one. Let's go underneath the car. Well, here we are. Up there is the turbo going that way. So by my freshly calibrated eye, I just calibrated it this morning, we are at least 18 inches or more from the turbo. So what I've done is I've came back here and I found a spot on the pipe where it looks like I have enough room to mount the O2 sensor without it getting in the way of anything. I know the shifter's a little bit close there, but I don't think we're going to actually interfere with it. There's nowhere else I can really go that I'm sure I won't interfere with it. But I think that right there will do it. Plus, it's gonna drop down a good probably inch and a half. So I should be out of the way of it. Ooh, we'll see, won't we? All right. Next question is, can I even get a drill bit on that to get it started? I don't think I can. I think I'm going to have a problem with that. In fact, I'm probably going to end up now, because I'm not dropping the exhaust on this car for sure, I may end up coming back to here to mount it. That gives me a lot more room. In fact, that gives me a ton more room. Yeah, that's not so bad at all, is it? Let's shift some gears here, see what we got. So yeah, that's as far back as the shifter goes. So if I come as far back here as I can go, let's see. If I'm right there, and I go forward with the shifter, yeah, I'm not touching any of that, that's good. All right, that's where we're gonna go with right there. Let me remark that. And we're going to call that the spot. Just one big old mark there right on it. That is the spot. All right, so there it is. All right, with all the drilling done, supposedly it's just a matter of lining up this gasket exactly with the opening and then clamping this thing on it. Apparently it has two-sided tape and kind of adheres itself on there. That looks pretty doggone okay to me. It doesn't really stick though, does it? Not at all. All right. No, it's not sticky a bit. Oh, that's terrible. That's okay. I think I can still make it work. I'll tell you what, I don't really like this right here at all. Because now you can't really tell where the hole is. I wonder if I can screw in the O2 sensor and let that line everything up for me. Maybe, possibly. I mean, because good grief. You would think that Everything is off. It is off. Everything is off. There, let's try this. All right. So tightening this thing up. I guess it's okay, but it's even though this is the correct size clamp for the size hose I have, or even though this is the correct style clamp for my exhaust pipe, it does not really fit that well. So I would encourage you guys, if you're not lazy like me, you might want to weld it on. Don't know. But either way, it's on there. Let's get our O2 sensor on there. It already has a nice coating of anti-seize on there. Then we've got to figure out how we're going to run this thing. That'll be interesting. Well, here's what we have. There's our O2 sensor. It goes up over the shifter linkage, and then I've got it zip tied here along this heat shield, keeping it on the other side of the heat shield. And back there we head up toward the brake master cylinder, so we're going into that area. I'll take you up top and show you. And here's the cable coming up around the brake booster, going down and going into the passenger or the driver's floorboard. You'll see that there. Now while we've got, or at least that far, I'll go ahead and pause a second and get the boost gauge out and get the piping ran from inside to outside. And I'll show you, I can already hook it up right here because the car had a boost gauge in it when I got it. But it was this old school, pretty cool vintage Stuart Warner. I don't know what I'll end up doing with this gauge, but I'm not going to throw it away. I'll find something to do with it. So let me get the hose out, and we'll get that ran for the boost gauge. At that point, I believe we can start building our wire loom going up to the A-pillar and get ready to start hooking stuff up. After that, it's just pop them in the A-pillars and we're ready to go. So let's get busy. Boost gauge. This stuff here is just a joy to work with, especially when it's kind of cool. Shouldn't need very much of this. Really, the only thing I think we're going to need is this compression fitting here. Yeah, that should be about it. All right. And these extra bits will go in the old fittings drawer. I think I'm going to go ahead and at least place these gauges in here, in this gauge pod. I just want to make sure I don't have any interference issues and that everything fits well and is happy. And so it's going to go like this on the side of the A-pillar. So this one goes in. It goes, but man, they don't leave you a lot of room, do they? Let's see if we can actually put the retainer on it with it in there. I bet we can't. I've had lots of trouble with these things in the past. So what I've got going on here is this one in the very back here, it's actually interfering a lot. So I'm going to end up cutting that thing. Let's see if it interferes as badly in the bottom. It does. All right. So it just needs to be cut. Let me mark where I'm going to cut it, and then I will cut it. I'll go ahead and just thread my hold down screw on it. I have a pair of pliers that are for this particular purpose, but I don't think I'm going to be able to get in there with them. Let's see. Like so. And then we'll screw this thing back out, and hopefully we can make some threads with it. Alright, so the boost gauge should fit a little bit better now. Oh, much better, in fact. And probably what I'll end up doing, I'll probably just take the 12-volt switch to the illumination from this one and just piggyback them back to this one. No point in rerunning all new everything. Both these are LED, I do believe. All right, let me get the hose ran up into the cabin for the boost gauge, and we'll move forward. Okay, so here's where we are. I went ahead and put all the wire and the piping in a loom, and I just, since the boost gauge really only needs an illumination wire and a ground, I just pulled back the illumination and the ground a little bit here and just doubled it up. Put female spade connectors on there, and we're going to send it. And then for the actual boost tube, I'm hesitant to do anything else with this, because the way these gauges are, these gauges are so deep mount. They really make it a pain to deal with. So I think at this point is probably the best time to go ahead and get it up there on the A-pillar and start to try to hide some of this. Well, so here's what I'm down to. I'm down to basically 3 wires. I know there's 4 here, but these 2 grounds are the same wire. They're both joined further upstream there. So I'll go ahead and put those 2 together. Well, I'll put those together here in a minute. Anyway, so the red wire needs to get switched 12 volts ignition. The white wire needs to go to the dash illumination or dash lighting control. And these 2 grounds here, well, they get grounded. Luckily, I've already got a illumination wire that just happens to be hanging here from the old gauge that used to be right over there that I took out. So that should be at least 1 wire I don't have to fool with. Guess I'll go ahead and make my ground. There's a dashboard mounting bolt right there. That should be an adequate ground. Especially just for 2 LEDs. I want to cut those grounds kind of short here, so there's not so much wire to have to hide and deal with. All right, so that there. Should we put our nut back on there? Now, as for the actual illumination, I have this wire here, this black wire. It already runs up to the light switch, on-off switch. So I will just take that and take this, and we will connect those. I'm using weatherproof connectors for this. I don't even know why. The car will literally never be outside ever again, even for a few minutes probably. But hey, if you're gonna do it, may as well overdo it, right? So there's that. So the only thing that's left now is a 12-volt switched. And then of course, finishing out this loom a little bit. So where am I gonna find a 12-volt switched wire under a dash, you think? Here's a fuse. It's labeled hatch and rear wipe. I think what I might do is just get right underneath that little fuse, because you know it's totally acceptable to do that. And that saves me from having to actually cut any wiring in the car. If you know me, you know that I don't like messing up wiring, but I have no problem tapping a fuse, none whatsoever. So what we'll do is we'll just take this right here and we'll just bend across it and plug it in. Now the only thing is I'm going to put as much of this in wire loom as I can. It's not going to be real easy to do that under this dash, but I'd rather have as much as I can in it. All right, looks like about right there is as far as we're going to be able to go. So I need to get some scissors and cut this loom and put a zip tie on it. And as far as going up through here, I didn't really do anything other than just kind of stick it in there, because I'm simply not willing to cut holes in this A-pillar to do it. I'm going to leave it just like it is, and if I ever decide to return to stock, I can. That's another thing that I like to do. So there. The only thing left to do is try it. Let's do a short little pull here and see what we get. That's pretty good. We were definitely down in the 12s, 13s, so we're definitely getting plenty of fuel under boost, wide open throttle, so that's good. Looks like we're making about 10 or 11 pounds of boost there, something like that. This is a fun road right here. Let's take a ride down here. So we just blew a hose. Let's see if I can get home before I got a ways to go to. I got to go almost back to 840. Looks like it's a looks like we blew a little heater hose that goes to the head. I could barely see it. It's a little bitty hose about the size of your pinky. Hear all the junk in the back rattling around. Little bitty hose about the size of your pinky. And it scared me at first because that didn't look like coolant. That looked like actual smoke. So, and it smelled funny too there for a second. So I was like, man, this car's on fire. I just hope we get there before the thing starts heating up too much. Hey, you may have to mount a rescue effort here in a minute. I don't know. I took the Shelby out and blew I think it's a heater hose. It's like a rubber water hose. It's not really leaking, but it's leaking enough that it's losing fluid. So well, that was a little bit of an interesting test drive, wasn't it? I don't like test drives that are that interesting. I like my test drives to be kind of boring. Anyway, culprit ended up being a little piece of heater hose about this long, piece of 1/2 inch that's right there behind the air box that you could really see that well. Evidently that was the one piece of hose that I didn't replace when I had the head off of it, because I replaced all the heater hoses and the heater valve and everything. So evidently that's the one I missed. Anyway, the car found it. So we're back together. We're good to go. I'm really happy to know that we're dumping tons of fuel under wide open throttle and boost. I'm no longer scared of it. So I guess the next thing we're going to do is we're going to order a Mopar Performance Stage 2 computer from Forward Performance. That should get us safely to about 14 pounds of boost, which is all I ever intend to run. They've got a Stage 3 and a Stage 4 and so on that I think ends up getting you up to about 18 pounds, but I'm not that guy. The car's kind of old, it's got some miles on it, and I prefer to have it live just with a little bit of fun. I know that in my playing around when my wastegate solenoid was messed up, when we were in the 13, 14 pounds of boost range, this thing was a handful and a whole lot of fun. So that's what I want again. Anyway, appreciate you watching. Appreciate you hanging out here and wrenching with me in the garage like this. If you haven't already subscribed, I'd appreciate it if you would. Don't forget, tell all your friends about us. Like, share, subscribe. I'll see you next time.